Welcome to the From Burnout to Recovery show with your host, Dr. Kate. This is where your journey to burnout recovery starts. Are you feeling overwhelmed or like work has become unmanageable? Join me and my guests for open and honest conversations about burnout recovery from the comfort of the front porch. I am here to help you build your resilience and prepare you for burnout in a whole new way through a variety of perspectives. Move past the idea that burnout can only be addressed by avoidance and work to integrate recovery into your daily life. Relax, take a breath. The From Burnout to Recovery show starts now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the From Burnout to Recovery show with Dr. Kate on Transformation Talk Radio and member of the Cornelia Stephanie Media Group. I am your host, Dr. Kate, and I am, of course, excited to welcome you back to the show today as you continue your journey to burnout recovery. Remember, as you are enjoying the show, to hit that subscribe button, give us a review, and be sure to download the KS Media Group app for all the world's best influencers in one place. Today, we are joined by our guest, Kyla Meuer. So enthusiasm and vitality were not descriptions used by Kyla 5 years ago. With physical and emotional pain and her sole focus on success and money were wearing her down. She realized that there was more to living a full life. As a former corporate marketing manager, she has transformed her life and vibrancy by turning inwards. She was burnt out, disconnected, and felt powerless. She went from program to program, searching for the next right opportunity, and found herself completely depleted and no better off. She discovered that the true keys to living a fulfilled and vibrant life is having a practice. Kyla's mission is to help working women create awareness, confidence, and a practice to connect and be true to themselves. Kyla, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kate. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, well, I'm excited to have you and to learn a little bit more about your journey. So to get us started, if you just tell us a little bit more about yourself, your own experience with burnout, and your journey to burnout recovery.
Yeah. Thank you. So now I'm focused on vibrancy coaching, as you outlined in the bio. But my story really, it was a series of events, not like one big breakdown. And talking to a number of women, like I realized how this kind of like nothing's really wrong, but nothing's really right either. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of like a repeated moment through, I guess, the last 5 years or so. And I just found myself like following a path that wasn't super intentional. And I mean, one moment that I can speak to specifically was about, here I was scrolling on Instagram, getting lost in the stories and the videos, and heard a woman say, we often take better care of our pets than we do ourselves. And, like I kind of laughed it off, like proud. And I was, I was taking really good care of my pet, making sure he was taken care of, all his needs were met. And, for me to do the same for myself was really not there. It was very minimal, or, just kind of brushing it aside. I actually had like a tear in my quadricep tendon and didn't know until I finally went and got a scan and checked it out. And that was the reason why I was having all this knee pain, right? So that was like 2 years in the making of just ignoring, my own body, like the physical like issues that I was having. So I guess that moment was really important to shifting how I really wanted to take care of myself and show up for myself. And I guess that was the start of the recovery process for me, like the very physical aspect. But then, as you mentioned, like the emotional side was really telling that like I wasn't taking care physically. So my emotional wellness was not there as well. So and what I've kind of discovered in the last 5 years is how important it is to connect with yourself, to connect and listen. I think that was a key for me. And so now I've kind of developed my own practice, and I'm a huge proponent of helping other working women kind of create their own, because what I do might not resonate with anyone else. And that's totally fine. It's just taking that time for yourself to really dig in and get that connection started, and then just keeping it consistent, consistent connection with yourself.
Yeah. There are a couple of things that you mentioned that I think are really profound, and I'm sure that our listeners are connecting to. I think the piece of that, it wasn't that anything was really like wrong, but it also wasn't like optimal. Like it wasn't going like, it wasn't as great as it could be. And I think that that is a space that a lot of us sit in, and also don't recognize that that is a part of being burnt out, in that we're not reaching that optimum level in that piece. And I think that that is so important that we highlight the quote that you heard, through social media, and the piece that we often take better care of our pets than we do ourselves. That hit me in that moment. I was like, oh yeah. It's like, yeah. I think I'm better about that now. And then I figured like that I have my own process in those pieces, but I definitely see, looking back, that there were times that was probably one of the things that was actually keeping me going, was the care for my pet in that aspect, but certainly that they were getting that care that I wasn't giving myself. Yeah. You spoke a little bit about listening to yourself, and I'd love you to highlight that a little bit more, what that looks like for you, for our listeners.
Yeah. And through some practices and through some coaching of my own, there's this piece that really hit home for me, which was like the ability to name and own our feelings. That awareness of, how am I feeling? What is going on for me right now in this moment? And checking in with myself regularly with that that question. And also discovering this super useful tool, a feelings wheel. So, the wide range of emotions that we can feel are our power. Like, we're supposed to feel a variety of things throughout the day, and it's information. And I had just limited the emotions that I was willing to recognize and feel and acknowledge. And so I feel like part of that listening was like, okay, what are all the feelings, and how can I notice when I'm feeling a certain way? And then kind of not judging it. And I still am working on that. But it really is this opportunity for us all to practice and be kinder to ourselves with whatever is coming up, because like, I guess with the taking care of myself, like I really wanted to be able to, understand and express what I was feeling in the moments, and even just to myself, like I didn't have to share it with anyone else, but I wanted to feel empowered and feel like I could clearly understand where I was coming from. So naming and owning my feelings is a huge practice, and something that I feel, regardless of if we're, super experienced in expressing ourselves, I think we can always get better. We can always kind of dive into things. And I also like to think that, or I have to remind myself really that it's not about getting to the end and like having everything all figured out. And it's always about the practice and the journey and going from moment to moment.
I appreciate you bringing that up, and that practice of the experiencing, and then kind of that owning and the naming of our feelings. But I think that the tool you brought up, and utilizing a feelings wheel to do that, to help us expand and branch out what feelings, we name, I think is so important, because I do believe that most of us probably, have a range of maybe up to 5
Right.
emotions that we
Mhm.
probably name and feel on a day to day, and
Mhm.
probably are limiting ourselves in that experience without even really recognizing it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Or even just like, I need to feel happy. I should
Hmm.
feel happy. Like that's the goal and that's the ultimate. And it,
Yeah.
it kind of feels now like, well, that's great. Like I like happiness. It's a good thing.
Hmm.
But like there are so many other cool feelings to have as well. So, I think that was a big realization for me as well of yes, I would like to be happy and enjoying my time and experiences, but I know that I can, you know, experience the full range of
Hmm.
emotions and still come back to, just being authentically myself, right? Like I'm
Yes.
not just
Yeah.
one way.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, and thinking, well, because and feelings are that piece of like you I know for me, I don't necessarily experience just one feeling at a
Mm,
time. I think
mhm,
that their emotions are wrapped up in each other, and
mm.
that you're sensing that and having that experience of more than one at once. So I appreciate that, expanding that out of what this is, and that it's beyond happiness.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Mhm. What are some other things that you do as part of your practice that really help you stay in kind of that resilient space of burnout recovery?
Yeah. One of the things that I've also incorporated was like a sense of adventure. So,
Mm,
like trying new ways to just feel like there's opportunities around. So, just trying new things, like maybe a new drink at the coffee shop, or driving to work in a different way, or calling up a friend that I haven't talked to, just
mhm,
trying to incorporate this sense of adventure in the day to day.
mhm,
And it doesn't have to be big, but it definitely opens up the possibilities and doesn't feel so stagnant or the same, or just kind of, and reminds me to look for the opportunities
mhm,
too.
mhm. Yes, I think that sense of adventure is so important. I love to think about it in terms of like a sense of play, or
Yeah.
just approaching your day with wonderment and
Mm,
curiosity. And I
yeah.
think that brings about those opportunities as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are some of the things that, looking back,
Mm.
as you kind of look back in your burnout and whatnot, what are some of the things that you see now that are indicators of a burnout experience? And maybe that's something that you use today to be like, okay, where am I at, to
Mm.
reassess?
Yeah. Yeah. I think when I look back, it's when I withdraw,
Mm,
when I pull away, when I stop being interested, feels like, oh, there's some more information to
mhm,
glean here. Um, I think also just the feeling of like I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm
mm,
supposed to be um yeah, and that could, like, the dot dot dot, that could be whatever, but those two indicators are something that I really try to pay attention to
mhm,
now, and just get curious about more than that, like um just like, oh no, like something, just really try to understand, ask more
mhm,
questions.
mhm. Yeah, I think that curiosity piece is so important, leaning into,
Mm,
okay, where is this coming from? What's going on?
right.
Asking those questions and digging in a little bit deeper, especially when you start to feel that sense of, oh, this isn't is as
Mm,
exciting as it was before, or now I
yeah.
feel like I should be. I think
Yeah.
that judgment of, well, I should be doing this.
Mm,
And for me, means that there's some kind of, I'm having some resistance to it. And then it's good to explore, like, what is that
right.
resistance about?
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Mhm. What are some other things that you would recommend our guests do as part of their own recovery that you have found helpful for yourself?
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of journaling. I feel it helps slow things down, helps just kind of understand a little bit more about maybe something I'm nervous about or anxious about. And like it helps to just process a little bit, and so slowing down and journaling seem to be like something that, pen and paper feels like super simple. Like I don't need it, but it feels so good after you're able to kind of spend that time with yourself. And also the do not disturb feature on, the phone or the computer, like that seems to be a good combination. So that's what I would definitely recommend.
I love that. So the piece of adding some reflection process into your life, whether that be journaling or some aspect of that, and then utilizing setting those boundaries for yourself by utilizing that do not disturb or turning your notifications off of your email, and those kinds of things I think are incredibly important so they don't like pull your attention away from that and you can focus on other things at that point.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like a full like 30-minute commitment either. Like 5 minutes, 2 minutes, like if you can give yourself just that, if it's about time, if it's about like just where you're focusing, like I think, just a little bit every day goes a long way. And I think that's what I'm super like one of the lessons I've learned too, of like, it doesn't matter like how much time necessarily, it's about that quality of just that connection that you give yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The quality of the connection. I find that the consistency is something that helps me in that aspect, but I absolutely agree that it's not meant to be, it shouldn't be time consuming because then it becomes another should in our life. Right. And so when we think about it in those smaller steps or those smaller increments, like spend 2 minutes and give yourself some focusing time. I think that's so important. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Kyla, what is one more piece of advice that you would offer to our audience members?
I think 2022 is bringing us such a unique opportunity to get, I guess, clear with ourselves. And as I said, as you mentioned, like I'm a big fan of having a practice, and part of that practice includes a little bit of yoga, but I would say also breathing. We breathe without even thinking about it. And so maybe that 2 minutes can also be useful for you just to take some deep breaths, deep cleansing breaths. And, like it's just kind of that reset, recharge moments that we can give ourselves to, move on, to take to the next step, or to decide that like, I'm not going to respond in the same way that I normally do. I'm going to, be intentional about responding or getting back to someone in a way that feels right to me. So breath is huge. There's tons of online resources for what that can look like for you. But I think that is another key piece to add to a practice. And it just feels so good.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That I think the piece of intentional breath and just spending a little bit of time focusing on our breath and tapping into that one not only grounds us, which is incredibly important, but I do think it does help us give that pause before we react to things in that aspect. And it is one of those things like you breathe, you're breathing all day long every day, but how often do you really focus in and tap into that to just use it? Those pieces. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Audience members, I hope that you are enjoying the show. Please remember to subscribe and leave us a review, but also would love to have you share this episode with someone who you think could need this message, or if this message would be helpful for them at their point in their life. Where can our audience members find more about you?
Yeah, if you want to reach out to me on Facebook, just Kyla Meuer. And I'd love to connect with any working women that are looking for a practice to connect with themselves. And, it's just like the work that you do, that you invest in yourself is like the most valuable thing that you can do. So if 2022 is that year for you or that time for you, please reach out. I'd love to have a conversation and would be happy to be available to anyone that's interested.
Awesome. And listeners, that link will be in the show notes, as well as a link to connect directly with her if you would like to do that. So thank you again for being here today.
Yeah.
All right, dear listeners, we are now going to move into our recovery moment. And of course, I want to remind you that I want you to practice this when it is safe to do so. And if that's not you right now, just give this a listen and then come back to me later. We are going to be focusing on our awareness of our thoughts, our senses, and our whole body today. So this meditation has two main benefits. First, it helps to diffuse negative states of mind before they can gather unstoppable momentum. If left to themselves, these may spiral out of control and enhance your suffering. Second, it is an emergency meditation that you can carry out in times of acute crisis or pain to soothe your suffering. The meditation is composed of 3 stages of roughly 1 minute each. It condenses the main elements of the whole mindfulness program into 3 minutes. A good way of viewing it is to imagine your awareness moving through an hourglass shape as the meditation progresses. First, I will ask you to become fully aware of the thoughts flowing through your mind and the sensations in your body in a broad sense. Then I will ask you to gather up and focus your awareness and sensations of the breath as it flows into and out of your body. Finally, I will ask you to expand your attention outward again, to encompass your whole body and to imbue what you find with warmth and compassion. You can then expand your awareness even further to re-engage with the world. The beauty of the breathing space meditation is that it can be performed virtually anywhere. It works equally well at work, at home, in lines, on subways, trains, or buses. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, the breathing space is waiting. Let's get started. Step 1, arriving. Become still where you are, either lying, sitting, or standing. Choose a posture to be as comfortable as possible. Then lightly close your eyes. Bring your awareness to whatever is going on for you right now. Give the weight of your body up to gravity. Allow your weight to sink into the points of contact between your body and the floor, the chair, or bed, whatever that's your feet, your buttocks, or back. What sensations are there right now? If you notice any tension or resistance to painful or unpleasant sensations, gently turn towards them. Accept them as best you can. If you begin to tense around the breath, then let go a little bit with each out breath. Soften into gravity. Notice any thoughts as they arise or pass away in the mind. See if you can let them come and go without being too identified with their content. Look at your thoughts, not from them. Observe them as if they were clouds in the sky. Relate to them as a flow of mental events. Remember, thoughts are not facts. Notice any feelings and emotions as they arise. Can you let these come and go without pushing away those that you don't like or jumping onto those that you do? Include everything with your awareness with a kindly perspective. Take a breath in through your nose and out. One more, in through your nose and out. Step 2, gathering. Allow your awareness to gather around the experience of the breath in the body. Drop your awareness inside the breath and feel the different sensations in the front, back, and sides of the torso, inside the torso, and on the surface of the torso. Feel all of the different sensations of the breath as it flows into and out of the body. Can you rest within the flow of the breath? Let everything change moment by moment. Use the breath to anchor your awareness in the present moment and in the body. Each time you notice your mind has wandered, remember that you have a magic moment of awareness. You have woken up. Then gently bring the mind back to the breath deep in the body. Keep breathing in through the nose and out. In through your nose and out. In through your nose and out. Step 3, expanding. Gently broaden and expand your awareness to include the whole body. Feel the weight and the shape of the body as it sits, stands, or lies. Feel the breath in the whole body. Imagine you are breathing in and out in all directions. 360-degree breathing. If you have any pain or discomfort, make sure your awareness stays open to include this with a sense of compassion. Soften tension and resistance with each breath. Cultivate acceptance for all of your experience. Befriend it. Now broaden your awareness even further to become aware of the sounds, both inside and outside the room. Be aware of other people around you. Then imagine expanding all of your awareness outward to include all of humanity. Imagine the whole world breathing in and out, in and out, in and out. Take one more deep breath in through your nose and out. Now gently open your eyes and move your body. As you re-engage with the activities of your day, see if you can carry the awareness that you've cultivated with you. I am so grateful to have you join me on the show today. Remember, for more recovery moments, you can follow me at Dr. Kate Steiner on Instagram, and be sure to subscribe to the From Burnout to Recovery Show YouTube channel. I'm grateful for our guest, and I'm grateful for each of you for listening today. Thank you for joining us today on the From Burnout to Recovery Show with Dr. Kate on Transformation Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Kate, and I wish you peace on your journey. Thank you for joining me on the front porch today. Remember to download your free Burnout to Recovery Reflection Journal on my website, drkatesteiner.com. Be well, my friends. Thank you for joining me, Dr. Kate, on the From Burnout to Recovery Show. where you are starting your journey to burnout recovery. You are invited to join me on the front porch every second and fourth Friday of the month on transformationtalkradio.com to continue growing in resilience and integrating recovery into your daily life. If you would like to learn more or find out how to work with me, visit liftwellnessconsulting.com.